a really fair and important question for you. What happens if life is a nightmare? Because sometimes we find ourselves falling asleep and we wake up, and dreams are pretty bizarre because we enter into a dream state at night often. And whether or not it's a good dream or a bad dream doesn't really matter, because we just don't question the circumstances. Although we've just entered into this dream, and it's not this exact world, we just don't question the circumstances and it all makes sense. But if you have a good dream, I've had very good dreams before, so good that I've grieved them when I woke up. The relationships that I had in the dream and the person who I was, and my feeling was so wholesome, fulfilled. And it lasted, there's been times they last what seems like a year, but then you wake up and it's all just dissipated and you grieve it. Because only you experienced it, and it was essentially all in your head, and so you grieve what never even existed. But you have a nightmare, and maybe in the nightmare you do something wrong of which you're guilty. You feel shame, or something tragic happens, you get into a car accident, or someone you know does. And maybe you even become a bit lucid during that nightmare, and you're like, I just wish this weren't real. I wish this were all a nightmare. And then good news, you wake up and it was all a nightmare. But what do you do if life becomes like a nightmare? Well, there's actually a really obvious answer to that question, which was revealed to me through a dream that I had the other night. And it was something that I forgot, that really can't afford to be forgotten. I was walking down a alley, or a city road rather, and I passed an alley, and the alley was so dark, and out of the corner of my eye I saw a silhouette hiding in the alley, and I heard sniffles coming from back there, cries. And when my back was fully turned, when my back was fully away from the alley, something got pressed up against my head, and I knew it was dangerous. I knew it wasn't good. It was an unnamed dangerous tool. And it wasn't fear that came over me, but the energy left my body. I was completely exhausted. So exhausted I couldn't open my eyes, and I had to conjure up all of my energy just to slowly turn around. And it took a while, but I finally faced this entity, this individual who had something dangerous pressed against the back of my head. And when I looked him in his eyes, he ceased to be a silhouette, and I saw that it was actually myself. And when I realized that it was myself, it wasn't me, this person that you see, this adult version of myself. I shrank, and it was me as a young child. And I could see terror in his eyes, and he was crying. In the moment that I saw that, I woke up, and I realized that that's what I've been doing to myself for quite a while. And I've done it to myself before, where my life circumstances aren't exactly where I want them to be, but then my reaction is to put a lot of pressure on myself, kind of beat myself down, disparage myself, try to juice myself for everything that I'm worth, squeeze my own heart to try to get more out of myself because I'm dissatisfied. And you realize that that's the one thing that you can't do. Life can be a dream, a good dream, or life can be a nightmare. No one life, I think, for the most part, is ever one. Sometimes we've got hills and troughs, dreams and nightmares, good and bad. But when you're in periods of life that seem like a nightmare, or when things are good, internally and externally good. There's one thing that can never happen, and there's one thing that, if solved, it'll make everything better, and if neglected, it'll make everything worse. But there is a version of yourself, myself, ourself, who is just a child. We are all just big children. And you can't leave that child to cry in a dark alley. You can't leave that child neglected in the shadows. That child is your sense of play, your true sense of joy, your innocent love, your curiosity. And even when it doesn't matter what the circumstances of life are, because whether it's a dream or a nightmare, like a dream or a nightmare, the circumstances will all dissipate, but what will remain is the core of who you are, your soul. The child that you are becoming, the child that we've forgotten, but that we all need to remember and become and regain our sense of innocent love, childlike curiosity, and play. So the one thing that can never happen, but does happen from time to time and no blame should be cast, is to leave that child in the shadows. Let the kids play.